Yo, what's up? How you doing?
Peace, peace, peace. Let me do this real quick intro. Peace, Vandals and Vandalettes. It's the God Mathematics, and you now listening to the Vandal Hour Season 7 live on S.STREET Media. If you want to go check out any of our past archive shows, you can go to anchor.fm or Spotify or YouTube, or you can go to our website at www.sstreetmedia.info or our new website, sstreetmedia.net. Check out the other shows there. We got a whole lot of other shows going on, a whole lot of other dope stuff happening at S Street. But before I get into everything, I like to give a shout out to all the Vandal Hour guards and goddesses that came before me. Shout out to Brat, Giggles, Greaseball, J-Lo, Mathematics, Facts on Wax, E Sinatra, June 457, Sosa, Drake Kills, Bring That Back Dude, DJ Quest, Mr. 13, Buyer 3, Reps, Guest, DJ Swift, DJ EA, Darwin Queens, Chris, Little Bit, and Justice. Shout out to all those people that came before me. They helped me lay this foundation down, so it wouldn't be right if I don't shout them out. But today, man, on this season 7 episode, I don't remember, but today is a special day. We have someone who I've been trying to communicate with a long time to have him on the show. I think his story is definitely worthy of being on the Vandal Hour, if not being one of our best people to be on this show. He has put in a lot of work. On them streets. He done touch steel also. He is one of the people that I feel has one of the neatest feels in the game. It looks like he's there for 20 minutes with no problem, not looking over his shoulder. It is my pleasure and the Vandal Hour pleasure to introduce to you Duel One. Yeah.
Yo, thank you, man. Thank you. Really glad to be on the show. Um, appreciate the intro. Thank you very much.
Yo, I appreciate you for being on the show, man. It was a blessing that you came through and the dots was connected. Shout out to Gemstar who put this together for us. For me, I appreciate that, man. And I want to kick it with you, God, man. You've been putting in work for many of years. And a lot of people want to know a little bit about you, man. Your story. You done connected with so many big names. You done ventured into the art world. Like you done touched trains. So your story is I think, very valid and very important to be heard, man. So I want to say this, man. How was you introduced to the culture?
How was I introduced to the culture? Well, it was kind of put on me like on some peer pressure shit. Actually, yeah, because as a kid growing up in the '70s, I was really young, and I seen graffiti, um, on the weekends basically because originally we were from Brooklyn and we moved to Queens at a really young age. My parents they maintained a strong tie to a church in Brooklyn, so every Sunday we would get in the car and drive to Brooklyn and jump on the LIE, the Long Island Expressway, to the BQE, and then whatever little highways that got us to the church. And along the way, I'd see like straight letters, some pieces, some real legible throw ups, all the way there, and pretty much all the way back. And then sometimes after church, we would go to someone's house to do a potluck lunch or something like that.
Mm.
And wherever we would go, there would be graph over there in the Hamble Courts or something like that, or go grocery shopping down in Chinatown, and I would get to see all the graph down in the Lower East. So I got a nice little variety of things to look at on Sunday. So Sunday was my exciting, field trip of graffiti thing, and but I never really thought I would get into graph. I mean, I just saw it and I was like, "Ooh, that looks cool." Some of it I thought looked like trash, but at the time I didn't know any better.
What was
And
it?
then
What
yeah.
was it that kind of caught your attention though? Like what was it that caught your attention about when the graph itself?
Uh, how was I introduced to the culture? Well, it was. It was. It was kind of put on me like on some peer pressure shit. Actually, yeah, because I as a kid growing up in the '70s, I seen graffiti, on the weekends basically because, we were from Brooklyn and we moved to Queens at a really young age. My parents they maintained a strong tie to a church in Brooklyn, so every Sunday we would get in the car and drive to Brooklyn and I mean, the colors, the colors, the letter structure, the size of, the person writing their name. One of the big ones that I remember was Quick RTW. He had this giant silver straight letter on the side of the LIE, like somewhere around Main Street or whatever. He also had a lot of stuff on the Clearview Expressway because he was from like Hollis, Hillside area, and that's on the other side of where I grew up at. So I would see a lot of his stuff. But I remember he had this giant silver block, and it had like color 3D in it. And then what made it even more interesting was Quick KD, rest in peace. Them two were going at it for the name. On that spot. Quick KD would have his little Diamondback QKs over Quick, and then Quick would come back and do his throw up over each other. And I was like, damn. And I didn't realize it was two different dudes. I was like, this dude's just going over stuff. I don't know. But it was crazy. I would see that, and I would see like big legible pieces, Visa, Ross, Old English, stuff. But at the time, I thought it said OS. I didn't know it was an OE until I seen the tags later on. And Joust, he would have JD, he would have big straights on the freeway too. So I mean, it was like names like that I remembered.
All right. Oh,
and
so the colors, the size of the joint was kind of intriguing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was super flavorful. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you would see more complex stuff, and whatnot, like on handle courts or whatever, sometimes on trains. But like I said, I didn't know what I was looking at half the times. But when I saw characters or a lot of nice colors, I would be like, damn.
So when do you actually go from being intrigued to actually picking up a can for the first time?
So around 8th grade, one of my buddies, he was like a little break dancer and whatnot. He got into graffiti, and I was really close to him. And he was looking for someone to go paint with. So next thing you know, he was like, "Hey, you gonna be my partner?" And I was like, "No, I'm not interested in doing any of that." And then he kind of peer pressured me into the whole thing. And then I was like, what, the hell with it. All right, I'll take a tag. And he's like, yo, what you going to call yourself? And I was like, yo, I'm going to write Ninja 1. And, also, around the same time, there was the documentary Star Wars that came out. And, seeing that video also, like, tipped the scales for me to try to, like, dabble with the graffiti thing, My boy was like, like I said, he was doing the breakdancing thing, and he had chicks jocking him and whatnot. And then we got into the graph thing. It was like he was like double cool, and I was like, "Ooh, snap, man! I can't break because I'm so clumsy and uncoordinated." But I'll definitely mess with this art thing and try to be like into that with him as well. So that's pretty much how that whole thing started.
How was the environment of Queens during this time? Around what years we were talking about?
So I officially started writing in 1984. It was like it was my 8th grade year, whatever, around October-ish. I mean, at that time, it wasn't, my neighborhood wasn't really, really covered with graffiti. It was just like, poles, mailboxes. You just had to kind of like ride your bike or go some park, and then you would see graph on the handball courts. Or, whenever you jumped on the freeway, you would see graph there. But you wouldn't really see, like, gates getting blown up or nothing like that. Trucks would have some graffiti. There was a sanitation spot right by my house that Captain Stern TPA used to kill. But that was about as far as real graffiti went, you know what I'm saying, for me. It was a real quiet suburban type neighborhood, so.
Well, I say this, the sanitation trucks was big back in the days, man. A lot of dope people used to kill them sanitation trucks. I know around my way, JRC was real heavy on sanitation trucks, man. Word. So now you're writing Ninja.
Yeah, that lasted like all of like one day. my boy was like, nah, somebody already writes that, and you can't take someone else's name. I was like, all right, cool. So basically, I started, writing out the alphabet and circling out letters that I thought was, going to match well and sound cool. And I really couldn't come up with any names. So basically, I took every name that my boy was writing and didn't like. Whatever he threw out, I took over for a little while until I finally came out with the name Cirque, SERC. And then I later on changed it to Cirque with a K. And that was short for this video game, Berserk, for the name Berserk. It was like a video game back in the '80s. I used to play in a pizza parlor and whatnot. I was like, I'll write Berserk, but that shit was too long, so I took the BE and dropped that, and then just wrote Cirque. But
How long did that last for?
that lasted 2 years. But in during those 2 years, I was just trying to find a new name, because when I started off, me and my boy we were both super toys. We didn't have no mentor, in the game that would tell us like, hey, this is what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So we would just, I would just be like biting people's letters, going over.
We
tasks,
all did.
You know what I'm saying?
We all did.
Yeah, like I'd be like, oh look, there's a white spot on the mailbox, man. The mailbox is blue. I got a black pilot, white spot. It's gonna be more visible when I write on that white spot. I'm going over a dude, and then next thing you know, I got some 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid knocking on my door, ringing my doorbell, like, yo, I'm about to beat that ass now, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? So, that, and then the biting and all that stuff, and I just had a bad reputation, and then I sucked too. So I was like, you know what? It's a horrible name. I already got a bad rep. You know what? It's time to change this name, start a brand new. And so for like a year, I was searching for different names, and I would, when I would do motion tags on the subway or just ride the trains and just kind of bench stuff and looking at stuff with my boys, I would take the names of guys that I liked, and I would imitate their names and their tags, and from those names, and then me circling out the letters of my favorite letters out of the alphabet again. I eventually came out with Duel, and that was in '86, and that's when I did it. I basically picked a name that I felt comfortable writing the name in the hand style, and the throw up had to be juicy too. I wasn't thinking about piecing at the time, but I thought if I picked something, it had to be a real word, because I didn't like that name Cirque, because it wasn't a real word, and it was just a terrible combination of letters too. So when I picked Duel, I was like, all right, that's a good one.
Them letters they definitely flow together.
Yeah, I basically based the name off of pretty much Dole CAC, because I was like, oh shit, Dole CAC, get those juicy tags on the insides. And I used to love the way he used to write DO and then LE right underneath it, like double stack his name in the little square. I was like, oh shit, that's sick. I was like, that's fresh. And he had a juicy ass throw up too, so I was like, word. And then, then I looked at all the throwies of people that I liked, like Demo TPA. He had the D, like pretty much is what I'm using right now. But I kind of modified it, made it a little fatter. The U from Fuzz 1, the E from like Visa, when he used to do Visa with an E or EA. And then, the L was kind of like a Is the Wiz I, like, but, I just kind of made it more like an L, a little fatter, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I came up with the throw up and everything, But I just wanted to make sure that I got a little bit of everybody that I liked in the name, and that's how I came up with that name,
Was you pushing any crews at that time?
The first crew I ever got down was when I was writing Cirque was FCA, Fresh Crazy Artists. It was a local crew from this guy who used to write Send One. The guy was actually nice with it, but I don't think he really got up, and he pretty much moved right when I met him, so I didn't really get to really mesh with the guy, do anything, or learn anything off the dude. But when I started writing Duel, the first crew that I got down with was TMR, the Master Race. I was probably one of the first 12 guys down with the crew, and the first one kicked out too. You know what I'm saying?
Get out of here.
Yeah, no, I'm back down with them guys again. You know what I'm saying? But I was kicked out for a good second. You know what I'm saying?
So now you writing Duel. you're down with TMR. You rocking out. What's some of the things that you're focused on hitting right at that point?
When I first started,
Yeah, during
mainly
the
I
dual
was like,
time.
yeah, the early dual times, I was more focused on taking over like the neighborhood first, and then extending my way down the main street because I felt like that was where everybody traveled to because that's where the seven line last stop was, and it was basically a hub for all the buses to go to all the schools, and everybody would see it. So all the bus routes were important to me to get that, like Northern Boulevard, Francis Lewis, Horace Harding, Union Turnpike, and Casino Main Street and College Boulevard, or whatever. Like all those little areas, I was concerned about. And then as I got a little older, um, and got a driver's permit, or I was hanging out with kids that were older that already had cars, we started bombing highways, and I felt that that was important to take over as well, or try to get as many of those as possible. You know,
During
so
those
that
during
was
those,
the early. Huh?
pardon me for cutting you off. During those times, the highways was really bombed up like crazy. So, who were some of the people that you when you started doing the highways? Who were some of the people that was doing them highways also when you was rocking out?
Uh, yeah, Saint and Cent was doing their thing out there. Big ones out there. Obviously, you can't forget Sib and Kane and AS. They was doing some big juicy shit. You know what I'm saying? Let me think. Who else? Shoot, man, there's so many, man. I can't. That guy Jest. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Rob Jest. Those TVT kids was doing their thing up there, Bronx, Yonkers region. They was doing shit. Obviously, Cope Two was doing things out there. Scene was doing it. PJ Fade and Med was out there bashing shit. My boy Stain was doing things.
Yeah, I used to
Um,
see a lot of med joints when I was going uptown to like from like Brooklyn going through Harlem going to the Bronx. I used to see a lot of the
yeah,
stars. He used to do like a med filling with a star and write the tag inside.
yeah,
He used to do a lot of. I used to see the star all the time, and also um, the zone that does the baby, the Charles. He used to have a lot of things on the highway also during my in the early '90s also. How the highways was active then, very
yeah,
active.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It was definitely crazy. What I mean, you would be trying to take over those spots because I mean, some of us didn't know how to get up into layups, or a lot of the trains were starting to get cleaned off, so a lot of people started moving into the streets and moving it onto the highways, and getting whatever they can, like rooftops and stations and everything else. Like it poured out, onto the streets, and it was crazy. Um,
When you
yeah, so that was hmm?
when you pardon me when you speak about you know Graph pouring out into the streets, leaving the train at that time. The rooftops definitely became popular. The Seven Line has a real dope roof line. A lot of roof line action happens on the Seven Line. Was you doing the Seven Line roofs at that time?
I didn't really get too many of those roofs. I didn't really have access to them like that, and so at that time, like some of those neighborhoods weren't really, you know, um, neighborhoods you really wanted to be caught slipping in there. You know what I'm saying? If you were creeping around there by yourself, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I mean, at the time, the seven line rooftop was being dominated by a crew called DTC Down to Crash. Like Skell and them dudes. You know what I'm saying? And um, some of those FYA, FY, no, FY, I can't remember what crew it was in. It was Knack and Nay and those dudes.
Oh
And them
yeah,
them kids was like, razor toting
that's a fact.
cats. You get caught at a rooftop. I mean, you really got nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you gonna do? Jump off that shit? You really had nowhere to go. And then, guys like Sheer and Form QV, it was doing things out there too. So I mean, there was a lot of stuff out there. on
When
those
do
roofs.
when do you start venturing outside of Queens?
So going back to that, I mean, like I said, I was one of the first few to get kicked out of TMR, and I had actually a little bit of internal beef for a little while with them, and so I was getting ragged uh, pretty heavily, you
Mm-hmm.
know, by my own people. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to take the shit and place it in places and make them work for it to go over my ass. You know what I'm saying? I'd have to go a little further out. And like I said, I was hanging out with kids that were already driving, so they were like, let's go hit this and let's go hit that. They didn't want to be stuck in Queens. They wanted to do things outside of Queens. So that's pretty much what was going on. And that would probably be like maybe late '87 ish. I started venturing out. Brooklyn, a little bit of Bronx. Didn't get too much of it out there. A little bit of Staten Island. That was a little bit of a nightmare to get to, but we did a little bit out there too. But most of the people we did, most of the stuff spots we did was the same as everybody else. Highways, that whole lower east side downtown area,
Mm-hmm.
Tower Records, all around the village, St. Mark's, Astor Place, Broadway, Midtown all the way down, all those spots, the easier spots to hit in Brooklyn, those spots, under the L's, wherever you can get, what I'm saying, but those are the common areas because that's where everybody congregated on the weekends. They were like, oh shit, we're going to the club, we're going to Limelight, we're going to Mars, we're going to, Webster Hall or whatever. We would definitely focus on those little areas because you knew people were going to go down there and see that shit. Touristy areas too, where the scrapyard was or Time Bomb or whatever, was down there, Canal Street. We would be, we would definitely want to hit those particular areas.
That's a fact. Main in the graph world, main graph spots, very important graph spots. Um, so now you're moving around. You're not TMR no more, but you got some static with them. When do you evolve into, or when do you? Because I see the main crew that you push now is like the Risk crew. When do you connect with Risk and become Duel Ris?
Um, I met Ghost in '92. After I got out of this psych award thing, what I'm saying, one of my boys, PF, introduced me to him. I had met Ghost previously before that through Crow, but that didn't work out too well, what I'm saying. But in '92,
Mm.
I met cousin Frank, what I'm saying, and we became cool. He introduced me to EA and then Ket and pretty much everybody else, and you know, we kind of bonded pretty quickly, and we started painting a lot. And about 6 months in of just you know day in day out putting in work, he put me down with Riss, and that was one of the crews that I you know totally wanted to be down with when I was a younger cat, and I was like, oh shit, I got down, and so it was a proud moment for me, and I wanted to rep it as hard as possible. So that was pretty much it.
Well, so now you become down with Risk. Um, do your graph activities pick up during
Yeah,
this time?
they definitely pushed me to a limit. I already thought like I was already a real thorough dude already, and really really doing a lot of work, and I thought I knew more than I really did until I started hanging out with them dudes, and they were on another level of bombing, like the way they handled things, stuff like that, and it just tightened up my game and how I approached and proceeded with doing stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, we push each other to a limits, and I learned quite a bit from these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because they were a little more seasoned than I was. So yeah, we definitely it definitely helped me out. Plus, the pedigree of writers that were in there. When you get down with any elite crew, pretty much, what I'm saying, and you have a nice little credit yourself. It just it makes it better for you. You know what I'm saying?
You spoke about the writer EA, rest in peace. For the
Yes.
person who never met EA, tell me a little bit about him.
Yeah, that's my guy right there, man. May he rest in peace. Actually, he's sitting on my desk right now. Got a little memento, some of his ashes here with me. But yeah, man, he's a good dude, man. You know, I mean, uh, a little crazy at times, but if you knew him personally, man, that dude was probably one of the most genuinely nicest people you'll ever meet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he did a lot of bonehead shit, man, and you know, I mean, that was his nature. But you know, as far as heart wise, that dude would do anything for you. You know what I'm saying? And look out for you as best as he could. You know, and he was a great dude. You know.
You bombed a lot together.
Yeah, we did quite a bit together when we first got together. I would be out there in the area that he was from, like Sunnyside area, and you know we would roll around his area, and he would show me, you know, spots where QV used to do their thing, and you know where they used to hang out, and we would just catch spots around his way. And he was down for all that bomb and stuff, you know, back then. We did a couple of stations together, a couple of this and that, streets, you know, whatever. But as he got a little older, you know, he kind of moved on to other things. So that was about it, you know. But I at least got to paint with the guy, and you know, he's pretty cool to paint with, you know.
You painted with a lot of heavyweights in your career, man. A lot of heavyweights you done got busy with. I want to speak about that. Um,
Okay.
you know, out of some of the particular people you bombed with VEEFER, you bombed with Ghost, you bombed with JA. Out of those three, who do you think you have the best chemistry with?
I would definitely have to say JA on that one for sure. You know, like I mean, as racking partners, we were just like, I mean, we didn't even have to talk to each other or communicate. You know what I'm saying? We would just look at each other and we just knew, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna do it. You know, we had like our little routine, we had our story down pat, our alibi stuff, our you know, our reasons to, you know, ask for where the directions to the paint rack was and color charts and asking dumb questions and playing it off and all that stuff. We just worked really well together on that, man. I mean, he already stated that in an interview with Stress Magazine like years ago. But you know, like I'm gonna say it again. You know, we really did formulate a really good team. You know what I'm saying? Because we're both clean cut. You know, back then, and you know, we dressed the part. You know what I'm saying? Like he had like a nice aviation jacket, you know, with the American flag, you know, pinned on his lapel. You know, clean cut. You know, white dude. You know, whatever. Me, I'm wearing a navy pea coat, you know, clean cut, you know what I'm saying? You know, I wasn't all tatted up and looking all crazy. We didn't have no pink hair, mohawks or nothing like
Mm.
that, body piercing, face piercings or nothing like that. You know, we went in there, mad respectful. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. Hey, we were looking for, you know, to get some paint, and you know, we don't know much about it. You don't think satin or gloss is better? You know, just kicking it with the you know, the store owner. One of us would distract while the other one was just straight clearing house back there. You know, just acting stupid. You know, and you know, that was one, and then we would just do this all day. You know, 7 hours, 8 hours straight racking deep Long Island, upstate, damn near. I mean, everything. And then it got to the point where it was like we were racking other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like food, supplies,
Facts.
beauty aid shit, batteries, film, clothes, sneakers. You know, cordless phone demos and all kind, whatever. It was racking everything. You know, and
Mm.
you know, at the end of the day, we would go bombing with our goods. You know what I'm saying? And we would just you know, go ham. I mean, I literally had like about 500 cans at one point, like chilling under my bed, you know, and it was
Wow.
crazy. And we went every time we went, we just went, you know, we just, you know, he had spots, I had spots, you know, you know, you know, he would set it off, and that would match the size or the intensity of bombing with him, you know, and we would just go ham. You know, we when we bombed, we didn't really even need a third person to look out. We just knew, like we were filling in. We would just look left and right as we're doing it. We would communicate with each other. You know, we would scope things out, recon spots. You know what I'm saying? You know, and we would have each other's back if something went down. You know, but we never really had any incidents when we went because we always, you know, we were cautious as it is to begin with. You know, yeah. So I would say me and him were definitely probably the best duo. You know, when we went bombing. You know.
Mm. Let me say this, man. A lot of people don't you know would never have that opportunity of writing with him. So you know we don't get too much conversation about JA on the show. So I'm just the fact that you gave us a story. I appreciate it, man. For a
Yeah.
person who never met him, how would you describe him?
Who's never met? He's a good dude, man. I mean, you know, it sucks because you know, the graph game's got him kind of looking kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? You either love him or hate him. You know, people going over him and whatever, man. But if they actually knew the guy, man, they probably wouldn't go over him, man. You know, he's a good dude. You know, um, he, you know, he'll look out for you. You know what I'm saying? He'll have your back in any situation. You know what I'm saying? And he's respectful and he's a good dude. You know, and I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
Nah,
You know what I'm
nah.
saying?
I
I mean,
understand
I've known
completely.
that guy for 30 years, and you know what I'm saying? Like he'll do anything for you, man. You know?
That's dope, man. That's dope, man. Um, you know, when we speak of the person like JA, we a lot of we hear a lot about the drama. I figure a lot of the people you dealing with are was you're the being some of the top people will have a lot of opponents. Did you go through a lot of graph wars? You know, once you became friends with these certain individuals.
Yeah, I had some wars back in the 80s and maybe a little early 90s and stuff like that. But as far as like recent days, I don't have any beef with anybody. You know?
Yeah, in the past,
But in the
wise.
past, yeah, like 80s, like I said, I got into it with some of the guys in TMR for a little while. Some of it I brought on myself. You know what I'm saying? Some of it was, I don't know. You know, I mean, them guys having the next guy's back. You know, crew beef kind of thing. And then I had beef with some other people, you know, here and
Mm-hmm.
there, you know. I don't know exactly how that shit started, probably because of my affiliation with TMR. So I had beef with the, you know, you know,
Other people.
some nearby local areas. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you know, Fresh Meadows and you know, I guess College Point area and those little areas and stuff like that. They had beef with pretty much TMR had beef with everybody that pretty much surrounded Bayside. Man, that's what it was, you know. And I pretty much inherited all that beef, even though at the time I wasn't TMR, but just at one point that I was enough for these other guys to go over me, and they still considered me TMR, even though I wasn't putting it up at that time, you know. But
Mm.
I was friends with half the crew still anyway. I mean, you know, some people weren't picking sides with that. You know, I was still welcome and everything else. Just certain people, I just, you know, I had you know, had to eventually work things out with down the road and whatnot. But yeah, I had beef with those kind of guys, and I, you know, obviously when I got down with Risk in '92. I got involved with the DMS thing, you know, for a little while, but it was very short lived. You know, it wasn't something that was put on me. I kind of like jumped in on that on my own, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then shortly thereafter, I joined the service, so that was pretty much the end of that. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Are you cool with any of the people that you was beefing when in graph wet back then? Now?
yeah, you know, a couple of them. You know, I mean, we're grown now. You know what I'm saying? Some of these people, you know, I mean, it was squashed way back when. And so we were cool. We were cool even back then. You know what I'm saying? And then, and even today, you know what I'm saying? Some of those guys I've encountered, and they were like cool, like, hey, you know, we're growing. We ain't got time for that mess. We know who you hang out with, but you know, we don't have beef with you personally. You know, you're chill. You know what I'm saying? And everything. You know, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? You know, who the hell wants to deal with that mess? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like looking over your shoulder, crew beef and all that weird stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants that. You know, I mean,
True indeed. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. You talked about going to the service. How was that transition from being, you're bombing, you're getting up, and then now you go to the army? How was that, man?
Well, yeah, that was pretty wild actually, but it was something I wanted to do. I was supposed to join right out of high school in '89, and then like a dumbass, I got arrested, a month before I shipped out, and so they were like, "Nah, bro, we gotta drop you from this program. You can't get in." And it was actually the Marines that I joined.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And so I ended up on probation for several years, and during them years, I violated probation like another 6 more times, and then the last 2 times I actually had two violent episodes, which I should have did actual time for, but my attorney was able to uh, work something out where I ended up going somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? I ended up going to a psych ward. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't pleasant at all. You know what I'm saying? But hey, at least that most criminally insane thing is legit. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. But once that all cleared up and I got out, like I said, I met Ghost in '92. I did a little bit more bombing after that, but then around '93, '94, things started getting heavy with the beef and the drama, and I wasn't taking school serious, and I had a shitty job, and I wasn't going to go anywhere with that. People I knew were ODing on drugs or getting locked up for some serious crimes, and I was like, shit, man, I ain't trying to end up like that. Plus, I was living with my parents, and I thought I was a fucking clown for that. You know what I'm saying? I was I was already in my 20s, or like, what am I doing? So I was like, you know what? Let me revisit this whole service thing, and then I went down there and signed up, and I joined. And when I went in,
You joined the
you know,
Marines?
yeah, I joined the Marines, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty cool. I enjoy this lifestyle and the structure. I actually am able to travel around. I'm actually making real money. This is making new friends. I'm not in a hostile environment with the graft and the city life and all that's nonsense. Trash that I was dealing with. And so I was like, all right, cool.
A lot of people,
And I,
a lot of people don't know that graph is, graph is a full time sport, man. And especially when if you going through the beef stuff and shit like that, it gets very hectic. Like a lot of people
it
go
can
through
it
that.
can
True indeed.
it can, and that in the '90s, obviously '80s and '90s, it was
It
crazy.
was
You couldn't,
crazy.
you couldn't be going anywhere after dark. You roll in certain neighborhoods and you're shade lighter than camera. You're getting your cheeks kicked.
That's a
You know what I'm saying?
fact.
Or you get robbed, or you might get fucked up. You know what I'm saying? It's not pleasant. Can't go rolling up in the yards and layups. And you're not in certain crews, or you're not a known dude or a made dude. And beef was like a real thing. You couldn't come around and be like, yo, hey, what you write. That was like a hostile question,
Woo!
man. You know
That's
what
a
I'm saying?
fact.
Like, '80s was a crazy time, and then '90s was a step up from that. It was the same thing, but now instead of you one on one, like, oh, you nipped me, you side busted me, me and you're gonna have to meet, boom, 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 and do this. Now you got crews after you. Oh, you went over my boy.
True indeed.
Shit. Now you got like 40 dudes like cruising down your neighborhood looking for you on the highway and be like, oh shit, he just did that. And they're like looking for you down for a few exits down, packing bats and crowbars and handkerchiefs and all that crazy stuff, cruising, patrolling highways and boulevards looking for you.
Serious
You
shit.
know?
Serious shit.
Yeah, that was crazy times, and I joined because I didn't want to deal with all that monkey shit, you know what I'm saying? But the nice thing was I was stationed not too far away from home, so I was able to come home and see that in the next 4 years that everybody I, wanted to take a break from, there wasn't really making any progress. And I was like, you know what? I can't come home to this because if I do, I'm going to end up doing the same dumb shit that I was doing when I left. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick it out and do another 4 until I figure out what I want to do. And at that time, 9/11 popped off, and I was like, shit, you know what I'm saying? They blew up my beloved city. I'm going to have to stick it out, you know what I'm saying, and get some payback for that. And then 10 years went by, and then I started a family and shit. And then, I was like, yo, I can't do anything, when I get out without having a college degree. So I stuck it out some more. And I was like, shit, I'm almost at the finish line. I might as well just get that whole 20 and change. You know what I'm saying? And I stayed all the way until then.
Congratulations.
I probably would have stayed.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I would have. Thank you. I would have kept on staying if they didn't have service limitations and be like, hey, you know what, you didn't hit a certain promotion or a certain rank by a certain time. It would have footed me out and hadn't footed me out the door because of that. I would have stayed as long as I could because I'm still healthy and I'm still in shape. I can,
run with the best of them.
But yeah, but they was like, nah, they changed a lot of things when I joined, so. And, whatever. But I'm glad I'm out now, you know what I'm saying? It was time to move on, open up a new chapter or reopen some other chapters, you know what I'm saying? And whatnot, revisit some things and whatever. And,
let's talk about
respect to the guys that are still there doing their thing and serving, my hat's off to them. And, whatever,
Let's talk about some of your new avenues, some of the new doors that open up. I've been seeing your transition now into the commercial art world. What made you come to this, going from heavy graph to the service and now going into, the real art world?
All right. So, quick little background on that. My mom was a art teacher, and she used to be a gallerist too. She used to sell out galleries all the time. She rocked paintings and taught classes from the 60s on up.
Oh, wow.
Until she had me pretty much. And she was into oil painting and all that. She tried to train me when I was young at an early age, you know what I'm saying? She was having me sketch things, hey, here's a bowl of fruit on the table, you're going to draw that thing. Here's a model of a hand, draw that. Here's an eyeball, draw this. And she would have me drawing all these things. I wasn't really feeling that, man. I was like, man, that's not my thing, sorry, Mom, I don't like this. And then, eventually I got into graffiti, you know what I'm saying, which was like.
How she felt about that?
Oh, man, I thought I was going to get shot in the face, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom hated that shit. My dad hated that shit, you know what I'm saying? They hated that shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, none other. Like, to my mom, especially her with her fine art background and everything, and then to see me writing on public property and scribble scrabble to her, like all that shit, man, like was like all hell broke loose in my house. You know what I'm saying? Plus my ethnicity, man, that just didn't sit well with him at all. She was like, this motherfucker right here is embarrassing as all hell. I'm gonna have to fuck him. Yo, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? But going into that, I did dabble with art to a certain degree. I did try to take it serious. I went to college and took a few classes and learned a few things here and there, but I didn't take college very serious. I dropped out of a lot of classes, like I said. I did, and then I got fired from my job. That's why I joined the service. And during my time in the service, I traveled to like probably over 24 countries and got exposed to a lot of different cultures and ethnicities and stuff like that, and broke bread with the locals and got to visit their stuff and see, see their habitat, their environment, their everything that they had, and it inspired me. I mean, I went to a museum one time and saw some Dada stuff displayed, and then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna mess with these masks too. I was like all into like the masks thing.
Okay.
Because the kung fu flick, Five Deadly Venoms.
Five Deadly Venoms.
All the masks and all the And I was like, into that. And so when I saw the Dada thing, I started drawing like these little African masks, and started drawing like little Korean masks and tiki masks and all these other things, and I blended all the stuff together eventually. And then that's where my artwork started taking its own route. You know what I'm saying? Initially it was like just the African mask, like I said, and then a friend of mine was like, what are you doing with that? What even those masks mean, or what those symbols or colors represent or anything like that? And I was like, no. And they were like, see, that's a problem, because you might get somebody who's going to come up to you and ask you this questions and shit, and then we were like, you know what? you're appropriating my culture.
Oh, true
And
indeed.
I got a little upset about it. I was like, well, I'm fabricating all this stuff. And they were like, it doesn't matter. It's just too heavily influenced by that. And you're going to have to either A, really study up on that or something, or you're going to have to do something about yourself. And so that's when I started abstracting it and blending it in with other different cultures with the masks and the faces. And I started, it started taking a different form. And, I started blending them because, we live in a really divided world. I just started throwing everybody's thing together and unifying everybody, to represent like, this world peace thing, you know what I'm saying? So
That's
that's
dope.
where my artwork came. And so, originally it was like all those masks, and then the stuff that I'm doing now is a simpler form of it. It's like a glyph, try to make it look more like a language of anything, but it's not real language. But you can see, like, when you look at it, there's faces still in there, and it's like, you could see some, like, Arabic-looking stuff in there, and you could see some line work and whatever from different places and whatnot, combined into the whole thing. And that's pretty much where I went with my artwork. It's, just like I said, a combination of, different backgrounds, past and present, unified together, representing like world peace and everything, That's what I'm hoping for, at least,
I'm gonna say this. It looks dope, man. I was going through your other page. What's the name of your second page that you have on Instagram?
It's a 7 Line Art Studio, the number 7 LINE Art Studio.
Make sure you check that out because I went through it quite extensively, and it looks like a combination of language. But then I'll be seeing like there's certain ones that look like a group of people, like a group of heads. It's kind of dope, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I seen you doing like the live paintbrush version of it, it's kind of like definitely out the box. I definitely like when you mesh it together with the graph. I done seen when you did the duels and then have that in between it, like or behind it. It's a dope mesh that
Thanks.
you've been doing with that, man. What's some of the like when you're doing it? What's some of the ideas that you trying to? You just said like unity and stuff like that, but what do you want your audience to grab from the art that you do when you're doing those?
I just want to leave that up to them to figure out what it is. You know what I'm saying? They look at it and I don't like spoon feed them, and it's like blatant faces and actual things written in it. I just want them to be able to look at it and then let their mind, try to decipher what they actually think they're seeing and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting sometimes when people approach me and ask me that question, and I ask them what they see, and they tell me different things sometimes, and it's cool. But then I explain it to them, and then when I tell them what it is, then they actually start looking a little deeper, and then they say, "Oh snap! I actually do see faces in there, and I do see this and that in there, and whatever." You know. Um, so,
Have
like I said, there's no actual hidden messages. I do throw people's names in there. Sometimes I will write little phrases inside of the art if I can, if the space allows me to do it. But for the most part, like I said, it's a combination of different, cultures, past, present, all the civilizations, all the people that come to my mind at that time. They're all unified because, like I said, we live in a really, really divided ass world right now. Everybody's like out for themselves.
That's a fact.
We got people doing crazy stuff. They're not joining together as you think that we're going through this pandemic that we could be
Together.
more into this humanity thing, and then you got like dudes running down the street chasing black joggers and shooting them. You know what I'm saying? Stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? Like dumb stuff. Like
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I mean, it's totally unsat, man. It's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like we should be coming
Working
together
together.
and trying to look out for each other. You know what I'm saying? And we're in 2020 now. We're still doing this, color thing, this background thing, and racial profiling and all this crazy mess. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hoping that maybe, what I'm saying, if I do move to bigger and better things, that I'll be able to give back, like, and try to change some things with my artwork. Hopefully, that's the goal. Hopefully, I'll be able to.
Let me say something
You
to
know,
that, man. I've been pushing this agenda for a while. If you still color banging in 2020, you're corny.
ridiculous.
You're corny.
Yeah, definitely.
Like color
Cornball.
banging in 2020 is corny. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be like, the righteous versus the unrighteous, man. That's the only thing that should divide us, is that.
Yeah,
And
man, live and let live, man. Do you don't like it, then just
keep it moving.
do your own thing. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that this is, when it comes to a lot of stuff that's going on now, I think that there's a lot of action happening to divert us from really what's going on. Is if you have the crabs fighting at the bottom of the bucket, you can't tell what's going on in the real world. You know what I mean? You're fighting for something that's space that's not even relevant to the people that's important.
Yeah.
I see they to me, and when it comes to media, there's a lot of they are planting a lot of information to taint people's minds. People are becoming emotional behind social media and in media. It's everything to divide us, nothing to bring us together. Everything is to divide us. But that's what they want, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's what they want. I don't think they want nobody trying to better themselves. But I think they make a lot of money off of people not doing the right thing, man. The people in power.
Right.
But
Right, man.
I'm gonna say this, man. Your art to me is very, as I said, I love what you're doing with the contemporary stuff.
Thank
How
you.
has your exhibitions been?
Right now I haven't been. It's been a little slow. Obviously, pandemic thing. There's really nothing going on at all. Last year I had a few, shows here and there, but they were more smaller group shows. So hopefully, when this all ends, maybe I'll get something then. Now that people have a little bit of time sitting at home and they're just browsing their phones, not doing a whole lot, they might be able to come across it. Maybe they'll have a spot for a brother, to hang in their spot.
I
Who
think
knows?
I
We'll
think you're
see.
gonna be doing big stuff, man. I think that Art Basel should be you should be doing them. I need to see a wall with just a big wall with your shit on it, like the shit that you be doing on the art side, man. It would be fresh.
Thank you, man. I'm definitely hoping to do some of that, down the road.
I could see it. I definitely could see it. Well, I want to talk to you about, a lot of people may not know, but you also do this podcasting shit too. You know what I mean? And quite
Right,
well.
right.
Quite well too. Talk to us about Graph Stars, man, and what you got going on with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. First of all, big shout out to my boy Heck. You know what I'm
Shout out
saying?
to the guard.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's my man right there. You know what I'm saying? He's my partner in the podcast game. So yeah, we were just messing around. He wanted to do an interview with me, and I was like, nah, I just did one. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, I don't want to do another one right behind, you know, the one I just did. That's gonna look kind of weird, don't you think? And so I was giving him ideas for his podcast at first, and then jokingly, I said, how about this? Instead of me being actual guy being interviewed, why don't I be your partner in this, and we'll get a third party in there, and we'll just tag team questions and this and that, and whatever, and the first few we were just kind of piloting on our own. We had quite a few like ones that we hadn't released, and it came out cool. We were really having fun, bugging out, and doing all those things, but as more listeners came about, we started cleaning it up a little bit. We had to watch our language, you know what I'm saying? So we didn't offend anybody or anything like that. We didn't want to do any of that. And then it started kind of like going a different route, But it was kind of difficult too because, he had a different schedule and the time difference was a little bit of a hindrance. So, we had to take a little bit of a break. We still talk a lot, quite frequently, kick a lot of ideas. Unfortunately, when we're kicking a lot of these great ideas, and having some great topics and stuff like that, we're not recording ourselves and such. So we started doing the little Instagram live thing, just to kind of like warm up a little bit. But we plan on bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? We plan on bringing it back.
Who were some of the people that you interviewed on your on Graph Stars?
We had Sloan TPA. You know, that was a good one. You know
Peace
what
to
I'm
the
saying?
God.
Shout out to shout out to Sloan. You know what I'm saying? His chatty ass. You know, my, nah, my boy So TNS. You know what I'm saying?
The DJ.
He was on there. He gave us a good stories, a good bunch of stories. Min Rock, RTW. He gave us a good
Woo!
one.
Woo!
Demo TPA,
Woo!
Stuff YKK. You know,
Woo!
Keo, X Men.
X-Men.
You know, we had quite a few good ones out there. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we had Cope 2 on there. I think he was like one of the last ones.
Woo!
And you know, despite
The controversy.
people, yeah, you know all that people whatever have to say about him, he really gave us some good shit. You know what I'm saying? So you know, and he spoke well. You know what I'm saying? Everybody we had was a hitter. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody. You know what I'm saying? They spoke well. You know, and gave us some really good stories. Uh, Kind of painted a real clean picture of like their time, their upbringing, and the things that influenced them, and you know what they were about. So you know, it was fun. It was really fun doing it, and I hope we get to do some more in the future. You know, I got a lot of people breathing down my neck about trying to bring it back. I even had people offer to buy me the equipment to do it, but I'm like kind of a dinosaur, man. I wouldn't even know what. I mean, other than plugging it into the outlet, I wouldn't know what to do with the damn thing. You know, I'd be like, oh shit, what do I do? You know, So I mean, I could do it. Even if I did it, I don't even know how to clean it up and line it up like my man Heck does. He goes out the way to do it, man. He puts the drops in there and the mixes and the music in there and cleans it up, so he takes out all the ums and the ahs and the unnecessary shit, you know, in the background noise, and you know all that stuff. He cleans it up so that's a nice smooth transition all the way through. So, you know, I mean, he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff to make that podcast sound a lot better than it really, so my hat off to
Shout
him.
out to Heck,
Yep.
man, the sneaker king, man, the sneaker king.
Yeah,
His
those
sneaker
fake
collection is
J's, man.
crazy.
Yeah, the fake J's, you know what I'm saying? The Canal Street special.
You're
Yeah, I
crazy,
said it.
man. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. Yo, man. You know you're we're coming to the closing of the interview, but I wanted to talk to you about the Graph Museum. Right now, they are doing a lot of important things for our culture. Interviewing a lot of big people. How do you feel about the Graph Museum?
I think it's great, man. You know, Ket's the one who put that together. He obviously runs that thing with Mayor and his other partner. I can't remember her name right now, and I apologize for that. But you know, they put that together. It was a lot of hard work. Um, it's located down there in
Florida.
Florida. You know, I didn't get to personally see it. Like they freaking opened up right in December, I think last year during Art Basel. I didn't make it down there. I had a lot of personal things I had to take care of, so I didn't get to witness it. But from what I've seen on Instagram and through other social media sites and other people posting, you know, it looks really fantastic. You know, they did a lot of, um, you know, homework and putting, everything together. You know, got some great artists, you know, to do artwork on the inside and outside. You know, and then they got a lot of old school relics and stuff like that to put inside the museum. You know, that you can actually get to see. You know what I'm saying, firsthand artworks from these pioneers and everybody else. So, you know, it's great. You know, they're doing their thing to stay active during this pandemic. They're doing their like IG Live, IGTV with Mayor and all that, and interviewing some great people. I
Some
think they
great people.
interviewed Ventura today or something
They
like that. And, you know, they got
did. They
some
did.
big dudes out there. You know, some of these heavy hitters. You know, and guys who
Who put it
um,
in?
yeah, historically, world famous cats. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to Ket for that. You know, he's come a long way. You know, from bombing the streets and curating shows to Stress Magazine to publishing books to coordinating video games with Mark Echo and Xbox and the PlayStation people with the Getting Up and all kinds of stuff. That guy's a hard worker, you know what I'm saying? One of the hardest working men in show business. since James Brown. You know what I'm saying? I mean, dude's nasty with it. You know what I'm saying? So my hat off to Cat. Love you. You know what
I
I'm
want
saying?
to say something to that, man. You know, some of the people that inspired me to do what I'm doing, I don't get to speak about too often, but I want to say this. Cat is definitely one of my inspirations. Especially if he's a Williamsburg person, I'm a Williamsburg person, so I always heard about the guard when I was coming up. Also, Chino BYI when they was doing the Source thing and putting the graph in the Source magazine, very big to me, very influential.
Hell yeah.
Sasha Jenkins, also, you know, was part of Videograph, later to become part of Mass Appeal. Very influential to what I do right now, man. So, you know, that's why I want to speak about the museum, because I know it's something that, you know, some people don't know about, but the person who's doing it has really put his time in the graph, and I think that he's doing great things with that museum.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bef-
Definitely preserving it and getting it out there, educating people that aren't familiar with graffiti. Definitely bridging that gap. You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah.
I wanna close out this interview with one last question.
Sure.
You're in Cali now. You was in
Uh-huh.
NYC the majority of your life. How is the two coasts, graph wise? How do they differ to you?
Oh shoot, man, that's it's crazy.
Like,
It depends because I
what's
I
the
had the
main
pleasure.
thing?
I'm sorry.
What's some of the main standouts to you?
Yo, right now, I would say that kid Bose is putting in some serious work out there. That kid Rogue, ROHG, Chaka, he's back doing things. You know what I'm saying? That kid Crash, uh, he's acting a fool out here, man. That dude's doing some big shit. Yo, I'm not joking around. This kid's doing some big shit. Yo, there's some hitters out here. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot more too. I'm not saying that those are the only ones. There's some kids out here really putting the beats on this city. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just trying to get noticed. These dudes are, you know what I'm saying? These dudes are really doing things. But the style of bombing's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these guys are like, they don't have subways like we do, so they don't really touch the metro or the commuters out here. But they do put the beats on the freights out here. Some highways do get tore up because a lot of them get buffed. But some of the ones that don't get buffed right away, they go ham on that. But their thing really out here is landmark spots, meaning spots that will get a lot of burn, they don't get buffed, and then the heaven spots, which is basically like your freaking your billboards. They be blowing that shit up, and then also not just that, like highway spots, like those little overpasses.
Mm-hmm.
They be getting those bridge spots, that, and then they go big too out here. They do the rollers and fire extinguish shits out here like you don't even know. Like the shit is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like you're talking like 30-foot stompers that are like the size of a warehouse. I mean,
Yeah, I seen some
that's what they,
crazy
they
shit.
that's what they're into out here in LA. San Diego's got some dudes, mosquito biting it up here and there, but the San Diego game's a little bit different because their buff game is so intense out there. I mean, even if you put in work, man, it's just like short lived, man. It's just,
Mm.
and it's just, because they do that, it discourages a lot of dudes down there. They're more into like, putty spots, the tunnel spots, like the little under the bridges and like those little culvert spots. They call them pits down there. They got them out here in LA too, but I mean, it's a little different. But the style of bombing is a little different too. Sometimes you don't get guys that actually get up. They do more like crew hits. They call it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
I'll be
like they
seeing that.
they throw up their crew. So and then they'll throw up they'll do a roll call within that. You know what I'm saying? So like if I was to do that, I wouldn't be writing Duel. I'd be writing Ris, and then it'd be like Myro, this guy, Det, PF, Lost,
Mm-hmm.
Crow, Myro, Moan, whatever. I mean, whoever, what I'm saying? I would throw all the members in that crew, and I would do a giant block that says Ris instead, and that's how they do it out here for the most part. But there's some individuals that don't do that. They do whatever they can for themselves, and then they come back together and do their crew thing as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what they hit is also different. You know?
Okay.
So, you know, but I give it to these Cali cats, man. They put in work out here, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they do shit, and this city is fucking humongous. And unlike, you know, the East Coast, you know, they do have like you know, gang activity out here in their neighborhoods out here. When they're, I mean, don't let these palm trees in the photos fucking fool you.
Fool
You know
you,
what I'm saying?
right?
Yeah, it looks like yo shit. Yeah, sunny out there. It never rains. They got pastel color shit out there. They got hibiscus flowers and plumerias and shit growing and palm trees. Soft. No. You know what I'm saying? You roll in the wrong neighborhood and you don't know what the fuck you're looking at, and it says some weird numbers and symbols and dots and X's and O's and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And then you think you're in some soft ass neighborhood, and all of a sudden you got these dudes with some bandanas and fucking high ass socks and shit. You know, you're gonna get fucked up if you go in the wrong spot, especially if you go over the wrong person. You better definitely do some homework, figure out who's who in the game, and make sure you don't go over no dead homies and none of that stuff, man. You know, and don't go over none of the weird numbers and symbols, because that all represents some neighborhood
Some
shit.
gang,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Some
true
street
indeed. True
or
indeed.
something. I can't read it. I'm stubborn to that shit. I'll just know if I can't read it, I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't mess with that. You know,
That's a
that
fact.
that that shit does the throw up. You know, fill in piece straight letter thing goes over a tag thing. Don't apply to the gang shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's like two guns up, pow pow. You know what I'm saying? In your ass cheeks type of shit out here. You know what I'm saying? I just leave that alone. You know what I'm saying?
I dig it. I dig it, man. I dig it, man.
Yeah.
Yo, any last words, man? I want to say this. I appreciate you again. I said it a million times through this interview, but
Yeah,
it's
my pleasure, man.
I'm sincere about what I'm saying, God. I appreciate you for doing
Not a
this
problem, man.
interview. We talked off the interview before, and your vibe was real, and I seen that it was sincere. So I appreciate you, man. Any
Word. Thank
last
you, man.
words,
Appreciate it.
God? Any last words to our
Yeah, man. I
people?
just want to say thank you to everybody that's ever showed me love. You know what I'm saying? Supporting my shop, d1nyc.com. You know, supporting what I'm doing, my transition into the fine arts and stuff like that, and had my back. You know, I want to say, thank you very much, man, for real, man. That really means a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? And everybody that's out there doing their thing, keep on doing it. Stay safe, stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta stick together, man, and support each other, and be there for each other, especially right now with all this craziness going on in the
Bullshit
world and
going on.
epidemic and all this division and everything, man. Just be there for each other. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, when everything blows over, you know what I'm saying? You know,
We be
we could
back
get all
back
kicked. You know what I'm
together.
saying? Yeah, man. And
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say, man.
yeah,
Thank you, everybody.
where they could find give me the where they could, if they want to buy merchandise for both spots, for the D1 and the other spot. Can you repeat that again?
Oh yeah, d1nyc.com is my graph shop. I got supplies in there, and I got stickers of other artists and everything. And I'm gonna get more people real soon, actually. And then for my actual artwork, it's Seven Line Art Studio, and that's the number seven. .bigcartel.com. Yeah, sevenlineartstudio.bigcartel.com. And that's the other one. And if you go to at Seven Line Art Studio anyway on Instagram, the link is in the bio. Same thing with D1NYC. Both links are in the bios.
Make sure you check his shit out, man. He has some dope stickers, man. I seen when you be pushing other people's art and stuff like that, which I feel is fucking dope. I see when you be pushing, like, yo, I got sale. You had some JA joints that you had for sale on there and all that. So I appreciate you, what you're doing for the culture. You just don't think about yourself, but you think about others, and we need that. We need that. You know what I mean? We need that.
Word.
Before we close out, I want to say this: today's mathematics is knowledge. Knowledge is to look, listen, and also observe. It is also symbolic to the sun, because the sun is the foundation of all things in existence. Knowledge is infinite. Please learn something today. Please pick up a book. Pick up something other than watching TV or staying stuck on your phone. Pick up a book, read something important, change your life, change your mind. I appreciate you, Duel One. Everything will be up. I'll text you when everything will be up. It'll be like within the next half an hour. Thank you again.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Uh,
Thank you.
and shout out to all the people who's listening to the Vandal Hour. Make sure you go to www.sstreetmedia.info or www.sstreetmedia.net. Check out the Vandal Hour on Instagram. Check out S Street Media on Instagram. We are moving. Peace. You have a good night, God.
Peace. Thank you.
And thank you.